and gentlemen, the books is in. The books are in. Yep. They in. They're here.
Log in to KofiPaisaTV.com and get Spears of the Mossy Volume 1 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, from Spears the Pen Volume 2 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, Spiritual Combat Volume 3 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, One Night Before Bed by Any Harret Shawn Calfunny, Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland by Kofi Paisa, From Cocaine to Consciousness by Any Harret Shawn Calfunny, As I Learn, We All Learn by Kofi Paisa. Also, if you want fresh merch, go to our online store, Family Connect Apparel, and get all the brands. Also, get our 54 deck of quiz and educational cards available now on KofiPaisaTV.com.
ETN Hotel, Rennie Shawn, welcome in peace. My name is Shawn. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to this afternoon show. I'm actually working, but my team on lunch, so I decided to go live real quick to try to knock out something that wouldn't be too drawn out. So please, if you are live, like the show, share the show for me. Peace, Brother UK. Peace, Charles, Zane, 220, and Jerome. I see you guys in the chat. For those of you who will catch the replay, please like the show, share the show. If you're not subscribed, then, subscribe to the channel. Support the Monster Warrior Clan, Signs with Shawn, and so forth. Hopefully everybody having a productive day. I've been getting this question a lot lately. I was talking to Brother Black Panther earlier today, as he was, trying to run over some information and make sure, he like to make sure he's sharp, or if make sure I'm sharp. Either way it go, that we, on the same page when it comes to disseminating information and then properly transmitting that information to the community, especially people who are either on the fence, have doubt, or have been just want to get a question answered that they haven't seen a social media answer. And so I just wanted to kind of tackle that real quick. I didn't want to put any type of presentation together or anything sporadic. I just wanted to, knock this out and give this a good little dose of his own. What up, Rashad? What's good, bro? And then hopefully people can take this information back and, and learn from it. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get started. Like I said, I am on a little lunch, so let's deal with it. So the question posed is, does COVID-19 vaccines prevent infection / transmission? All right. When people ask this question, what they're really trying to insinuate or say or get back to is that they have heard that the vaccine does not stop you from being infected with COVID-19. Therefore, they don't see a reason why they need to get the vaccine. Right? Now, they don't understand all the other things, but that is what they say. So again, Does the COVID-19 vaccine prevent infection or transmission? And the reason they ask this question is because if it doesn't stop infection, they don't see the benefit in getting the vaccine. What up, Rasta? So what we're going to do now is we're going to begin to answer the question. I'm going to start with a little rinky-dink article. I don't support this particular article, this page or anything like that, but I'm going to back it up, right? So the question here is where it says is, it doesn't say the question, but 95% of efficacy for COVID-19 vaccine doesn't mean there's a 5% infection risk. Here's why. So they set out to answer this. As more Americans line up to receive COVID-19 vaccine, there's confusion just how protective the shots are against the disease. Okay. Clinical trials showed that the vaccines are 95% effective, 94 and 95% effective for Moderna and Pfizer. So that means 5% of people who get vaccinated could still get sick. The answer to that is no. It also doesn't mean vaccinated people have a 5% chance of getting COVID-19 either. Okay. Now, the data suggests risk of infection after vaccination is actually much lower. Risk of infection after vaccination is much lower. Now, efficacy tells us about the risk reduction. That's what the efficacy rate does. So people who get vaccinated, you're going to be around 94, 95% lower risk of developing COVID-19 compared to those who are not vaccinated. All right. Still confused? Cool. If you could clone, I don't want to get into this right here, so I'm going to answer it in a more methodical way. So basically what it is saying, okay, 100% of the people in the chat all been exposed to COVID-19. Maybe one of you out of that catches COVID. One of you catches COVID. The others don't. They all been vaccinated. But you've been exposed. The reduction rate exists. This is why they do double-blind placebo tests, right? This is randomized tests. They do these to help show the efficacy rate. Remember, they just only want this data to be about over 50%. So 95 is just way better than the projected efficacy rates required for other vaccinations. Let me make it a little bit more plain. Measles still exists. MMR still exists. Let me say it like that. Polio is still on the earth. MMR still on earth. Polio on earth. Smallpox, whooping cough, tetanus, chicken pox. There's a slew of contagious viruses that still exist on earth. The thing is that in America, the majority of our population have been vaccinated to prevent infection from these viruses. So if we encounter those viruses, we don't have a reaction. It doesn't transmit or formulate into a disease, right? So our kids who've never seen chickenpox, they don't know what chickenpox is because the large majority of the population has been vaccinated, allowing chickenpox not to survive in a host or be transmittable, or smallpox, for instance. Right? So this article does a little bit better job, and it goes in and it breaks down the math to try to help people. It says about 36,000 people were involved in the late stage of Pfizer's trial. You had basically, it says in total 170 people developed symptomatic COVID-19, 162 in the placebo group, and 8 in the vaccinated group. You had 36,000 people in the trials. They split the trials in half. The large majority of the people who actually was infected was in the placebo group. Only 8 people out of the, 18 or 17,800 and something people, only 8 of those people you know, had developed a symptomatic COVID-19. Now, so in reality, the odds of getting symptomatic COVID-19 after vaccination is 0.04%, not 5%. So after you divide the number of vaccinated people who got sick to the total number of vaccinated people, but even this explanation is misleading, to people as well, and they continue to say that. But we're smart in this chat, and we continue to understand what's going on. So I don't want to get all the way into this article. This is in the chat. I mean, in the description of the video. I suggest people who have questions that you give them this. This is more common sense. Now, to get more technical, I'm going to go in a different direction. And I'm going to deal with COVID-19, Moderna, and Pfizer vaccines prevent infection as well as symptoms, CDC study finds. So we have a study recently published that says Moderna and Pfizer's vaccines prevent infection as well as symptoms. Okay. Now, in this study, the study breaks down the participants of almost 4,000 essential workers. You've heard me say this before. They collected this data over a period of time, and this is in a U.S. location. Okay. They know how this worked because, they were vaccinated with either Pfizer or Moderna, and they knew that it reduced infection by 90%, while a single dose confers 80% protection because these people have been exposed to COVID-19. And they realized that 90% of the people that was exposed to COVID-19 did not get infected from the virus. They didn't have any type of infection, and they did not transmit the disease. So transmission was reduced and infection was reduced. Vaccinated people reduced the risk of hospitalization and death, but also now we know reduce the rate of infection. Now, what am I saying here? We are infected with viruses. We've had vaccinations before, for all our lives. I just gave y'all the example. I am only going back to that point to only say that viruses continue to exist. They just don't vanish from the face of the earth. Anyone that tells you that a virus vanishes from the face of the earth are lying to you. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give you an example. In 2019, what happened in Brooklyn, New York among the Jewish community? MMR. What happened to Samoa? MMR. So because someone traveled outside the country and came back, an outbreak took place in Brooklyn from a disease that really was eradicated in America. But because this small population who was not vaccinated, didn't believe in vaccines, brought back a virus and it began to spread in their community, the government halted it by vaccinating all the people in the community who was once not against the vaccine. So the article, this article continues to tell you about the people that participated, swabbed themselves once a week, and when they felt any symptoms, they shipped the swabs, cold packs, and they did all of this. This tells you all of that. So this is the actual breakdown on how things transpire with the testing. If that's not enough, so we know based on this trial here of about 4,000 essential workers, 90% while a single dose confers 80%. So infection was reduced in 90% of the fully vaccinated and 80% of the single dose people. All right, and it was less transmissible. Let's go a little bit further, but let's go down a little bit. Yeah, this is the CDC. I really don't like to use the CDC because I don't want to give anybody an argument out of it. So this clinical trial demonstrated authorized COVID vaccine effectiveness in laboratory confirmed symptomatic COVID. This actually backs up the previous article because it is dealing with the same essential data. And here's the effectiveness against SARS-CoV-2 infection and symptomatic disease. In order to get a disease, you have to be infected. So once you get infected, you can just get infected and not have a disease, or you can get infected and it transmits itself into a disease. The vaccines prevent both. Catching COVID could turn into a whole nother problem. This is why you get vaccinated. So again, the general population, the vaccine effectiveness was 89%, 90% here. When dealing with, general adult population, the healthcare workers, first responders, healthcare workers, in the UK, and adults out there in the community, Israel, they're already doing tests to determine how it's acting in the general population. We have all the data right here. These numbers are great. Denmark long-term care facilities positioned a lower efficacy rate. You have that because you got, they long-term care facilities. This table continues to educate you more, but like I said, I really don't want to use the CDC to argue a point, but I just had it to strengthen the argument. All right. So again, we don't need to know how vaccines work. We should already have a good grasp of how vaccines work versus natural immunity. Natural immunity can kill you. Natural immunity can lead to long-term illnesses. Natural immunity can create brain fog and a whole lot of other things when it's regarding the COVID-19. All right. We just went over a little bit on how the studies project the safe and effectiveness of a vaccine. So I don't want to actually get into that. I don't want to get into the side effects. We are very much well aware of all side effects in all vaccines, which are very similar in the COVID-19, the mRNA vaccines. They're similar in saying that's how we know the vaccines work. They don't want you waiting longer to get the second dose. I push mine out about a week, and I will be getting my second dose Thursday. We all know you still need to wear a mask, even though transmission has been reduced. Study finds the transmission has been reduced based on the scientific evidence. And we know about the protection against different variants. Right now, there's some tests going on in Israel regarding Pfizer's protection against the South African variant. Right now, the UK variant is dominant in America, and the South African variant is not. We know pregnant women can get the vaccination. We know they're doing trials on kids right now. Memphis had 2 kids accidentally vaccinated. Melvin ain't came and told us that anything had happened to those kids, so they felt confident in that data that they had from 2 kids, but they need to do it in a larger population. All right, so this article right here from Johns Hopkins will also strengthen the whole transmission and infection argument as well, because I just scrolled past that data and I just really didn't want to hit y'all upside the head with that. I got a 2-page PDF in helping you understand how vaccines work and how things should work in these, not should, but how they do work. And then if there's any additional information, you can get with them and deal with it. So I drop this in here on y'all, and it talks about types of vaccines, and you remember you got live, inactivated, and toxic vaccines, and so forth. It's got subunit vaccines, and conjugate vaccines. So it talks about all of those things in that article. That's a good little 2-page. More common sense information from a Pfizer Moderna vaccine stop infections in the real world. Recently produced. This is just a little common sense article as well, bagging you up. It's saying 2 doses of the vaccine provide as much as 90% protection against infection. I'm gonna say that again. 2 doses of the vaccine provides as much as 90% protection against infection. And this is according to the data, which goes back to the data that I already showed, but I just wanted to keep it more brief. All right. So you got 768 million people in 154 countries vaccinated. The deaths are still rising. We have received a spike in the numbers as well. So I don't want to pretty much labor over that. Like I said, I was trying to keep this brief, but also provide the actual substance for arguments. So people can't say, well, I seen you say this or that, but you didn't provide a source. No, I have several sources to back up the initial statements to answer the research question without having to actually put it all together for you. Yes, the Johnson & Johnson's is 72% on the initial shot. And after a few weeks, Johnson Johnson's vaccine approves up to 84, 86% effectiveness against or efficacy against infection and prevention. Yeah, it gets better. It gets better with time, right? So this goes back to that study again. That started in December 20th and ended on March 2021. So from the last the study that they did to understand transmission and infection, this was the trial dates for that, and it was in 8 U.S. locations, and that's the data that I summed up pretty much. And they still answering more research questions, so I don't want to hear that all the other stuff. Here you go again, another article from The Hill published on the 29th. This is basically reiterating this data that was done by the CDC, the NIH, and everybody else is getting involved in trying to answer research questions. So the answer to the question is yes. The answer to the question is yes. Well, let me repeat it because a lot of people don't know. Does COVID-19 vaccines prevent infection transmission? The answer to the question is yes. And it's based on the available evidence and data that was presented here very slightly. Now, all the evidence and data is in the description of this video. For people who want to scrutinize it, I suggest you take it upon yourself to grab all the links in this video and deal with, does COVID-19 vaccines prevent infection and transmission? The answer is yes, and it's based on different tests. I provided the CDC's test, and we provided another study's test, one specifically in Israel and one done in the Americas. In America, based on multiple states being a part of this test, right? I did see y'all didn't pay attention to that. And I didn't want to bring that out, but now I'm gonna clarify it. We have 2 trials, one in Israel, one in the United States. Both tested the infection rate and the prevention of infection and transmission rates. Israel and the the US, both concluded that the answer to our question, does COVID-19 vaccines prevent infection and transmission, is yes, because we have the studies, we have the evidence. So when they be like, nah, I was told, or the CDC said, or Fauci said last year that even if you get the vaccine, you still need to wear a mask, and you might transmit the disease. You might transmit COVID, and you still could possibly get infected. So why do I need to get it? The answers to the questions is in this video. The answer is, we know for sure now that the vaccines prevent infection and the transmission of COVID-19. That's what you wanted to know. It's been answered by science. What's your next objection? Yeah, the kids are currently in trial. We talked about the kids going through vaccine trials a few videos ago. We know those trials have begun. We are a few months down the line from that. We're looking like well into the summertime, almost the next school year, before we get data on the results. However, in an earlier, smaller trial between kids of the age of 12 to 15 years of age, 100% of those kids did not catch COVID-19 after being vaccinated. So there was 100% efficacy rate in that small controlled trial. Yes, 6-month-old kids are going into trials. You know, we talked about that last show. We talked about the what they call it, the pediatricians trials or whatever. The pediatric, my bad, I said pediatrician. Pediatric age kids, you know, kids that go to the pediatrics. They are under testing. You know, we're getting ready to be under testing because of the results from the 12 to 15. So they're gonna bag it back and go to the pre-pediatrician pediatrics and deal with that. Yeah. So it is what it is with the data, man. All the questions have been answered. I'm looking in the chat right now. I answered Stacey's question. Peace to everybody that joined us. I see Malcolm is in the building, Thurman in the building. Stacey again, you brother Mathis, I'm biased. What up, bro? Good show last night. Crisscross, everything is everything. Again, I left all the sources in the description of this video. Please, you know, do your due diligence, your homework. Make sure that if you are talking to someone who says, I don't want to get the vaccine because I still can get infected, this video answers the question, and the sources in this video answers those questions. What up, T'Challa? Specifically, the vaccines prevent infection and transmission. Not based on hearsay, based on data, based on trials that have actually revealed themselves, not just in the United States, but even trials presented in this video outside the United States. So, you good? You good? I ain't even see what you sent anywhere. What up, Nunu? So yes, the vaccines prevent. Now, Unc just got his vaccine, his second shot yesterday. Says his arm a little bit sore. He feeling the vaccine working, but he used to it because he always get the flu shot. So he said that's what it is, and you know his family was feeling a little down from that as well. But yeah, I think what I'm gonna try to continue to do is to answer one question at a time specifically and deal with that one question and provide the data that actually answers those questions, because this always comes up in an anti-vaccine or conversation or Facebook argument. And now I know that people on Facebook are going to say, I'm not going to watch the video. Why you using, that's not credible because it's a YouTube video. But this video has creditable information in the description of the video. So if you pull the video, you could say that the video in the description of the video, it actually has the sources for the trials that actually showed and proved that the vaccines prevent infection and transmission. Then you should be good to go. I still don't think that those people will watch the videos. I still don't think that they'll watch the videos. However, if you want to pull the sources up, then you can pull the sources up and you can provide the sources to refute them. I gave you all the evidence here. And right now they're doing phase 2 and 3 trials among the teenagers and the pediatric kids. Yes. Yep. What Malcolm just said about the real-time trial among frontline workers. Yep. That's one of the trials. Well, actually, that's both of the trials, just one in Israel and one in the Americas. Now, Israel, right? Where the Jews at, right? The most religious. They are all vaccinated over there. Over 90-some% of the people over there are vaccinated. However, they are doing more testing than the rest of the scientific community is currently because they are ahead. So where some people were slow at, they sped up. They sped up testing in their trials. So I just wanted to come in, man, and give y'all a little tidbit. Science with Shawn. I know a lot of y'all just came in. You know, like the show, share the show, tell a friend, tell a friend. We're answering a research question. It is here. I see I only got like 14 of them likes. But please hit the like button for us, y'all. Please share this show. I'm gonna keep it bite-sized. I'm gonna keep it right where it need to be. And on that note, stay tuned for stay tuned for Kofi Pie Side Research Team later today. If you're not subscribed to Kofi Pie Side TV, look us up on YouTube. Go to Kofi Pie Side TV. KofiPieSideTV.com. Get to that. Look up Kofi Pie Side Research Team on YouTube. Get with us on that. Look for a show later on from I think T'Challa might be going in or Kofi might be going in, whoever it may be. The descriptions for all of our books is in the video. You want merch? We got merch. The link for that is in the video. If you want the Conscious Community First Pan-African Journal, Killmonger's Corner Volume 2, the link to that is in the video. Help us. Support us. We appreciate you.
Log in to KofiPieSideTV.com and get Spears of the Mossy Volume 1 by Kofi Pie Side Research Team, from Spears the Pen Volume 2 by Kofi Pie Side Research Team, Spiritual Combat Volume 3 by Kofi Pie Side Research Team, One Night Before Bed by Any Harret Shawn Calfunny, Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland by Kofi Pie Side, From Cocaine to Consciousness by Any Harret Shawn Calfunny, As I Learned, We All Learn by Kofi Pie Side. Also, if you want fresh merch, go to our online store, Family Connect Apparel, and get all the brands. Also, get our 54 deck of quiz and educational cards available now on KofiPieSideTV.com.